Humans fought with a ferocity General Tyro had never seen, making him instantly resign his command to learn their secrets, before his own Nasat race was destroyed. The cloaked Nasat ship hovered in low Earth orbit, its advanced sensors fixed on the chaotic battle raging on the surface below. Tyro, the Nasat's most decorated general, watched the carnage in rapt fascination. The human soldiers were severely outnumbered and outgunned, yet they refused to yield, fighting on with savage determination against the insurgent horde threatening to overrun their position. One human, his leg torn open by shrapnel, dragged himself to a mounted gun and spat at his foes as he fired on enemy after enemy. Another, down to her last magazine, rallied her squad with a war cry and led a desperate charge into superior forces that sent the insurgents scrambling. Everywhere Tyro looked, he saw the same story: blood-drenched humans battling like demons, undaunted by the odds. Studying the humans for decades, Tyro had always been impressed by their ingenuity and tenacity. But this display of raw grit and ferocity was something else, something primal that shook him to his core. These primitive beings had a strength his own kind had long since lost. And if they ever managed to stop fighting each other and unite... Suddenly, Tyro saw the future with terrifying clarity. The Nasat believed themselves the undisputed masters of the galaxy, their dominance assured by technological supremacy. But numbers and sheer indomitable will could carry the day against even the most advanced weapons. He had just seen it with his own eyes. If the humans ever turned their fury outward... Tyro rushed to report his epiphany to the Nasat High Council. They had to take action now, he warned, before humanity grew strong enough to challenge them. Eliminate the humans swiftly while they still had the chance, or prepare for a war that would shake the stars. But the council sneered at Tyro's folly, as his warnings instantly became known. Humanity was no threat, they scoffed. Let the savages slaughter each other on their backwater planet. The glorious Nasat had nothing to fear from such lowly creatures. Tyro argued until his throat was raw, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Despairing, the once loyal general saw only one path forward. If his people were too blind to save themselves, he would do what he must, even if it meant betraying everything he once believed. The humans had stolen his devotion with their courage under fire. Now he would return the favor by learning their ways and stealing their secrets, before the Nasat faced a human onslaught they could never hope to overcome. His mind made up, Tyro marched to the council hall and resigned his commission on the spot before all the shocked onlookers. By the time they stopped gaping, he had already stolen a stealth ship and vanished into the inky expanse between worlds. Earth would know a new human soon, a man named Tyler Boyd. His mission began now, to unravel the source of humanity's strength for the good of all Nasat. The only question was which species would pay the price for his divided loyalties in the end. Tyler had barely begun his new life on Earth when the first attack came. A cloaked drone, Nasat design, nearly took his head off with a plasma bolt as he exited his apartment. Only his lightning-fast reflexes, honed by centuries of training, saved him. It was clear his disappearance had been noticed back home. Mike Donnelly, his human liaison, quickly assessed the danger. "They'll never stop hunting you," he said grimly. "We need to get you off grid, fast." He brought Tyler to a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of town, a secret safe house used by Donnelly's Black Ops team. Inside, 3 figures waited, eyeing Tyler warily. "This is Sergeant Jake Matthews, call sign Tex," Mike said, indicating a burly man with a pronounced drawl. "Best sniper I've ever seen. The leprechaun there is Corporal Liam O'Brien, demo expert, and the kid is Private Rajesh Patel, hacker extraordinaire. They're the best of the best. With you here, maybe we'll stand a chance." The team was professional, but Tyler sensed their unease. He couldn't blame them. He was an alien, an unknown quantity. Trust would have to be earned. As they dug into who was after Tyler and why, the Nasat tech proved invaluable. His knowledge accelerated their investigation by leaps and bounds. Rajesh, in particular, formed a quick bond with Tyler as they worked to penetrate secure networks. "I've found something," the hacker said one night, brow furrowed. References to a Majestic 12, some kind of top-secret government program. Looks like they've been studying alien shit for decades, all under the radar. Tyler nodded. The Majestic 12 files could have some answers. We need to... A proximity alert blared, cutting him off. Security feeds showed a heavily armed Nasat kill team breaching the perimeter, led by a face Tyler knew all too well. Commander Zoran, his old rival. The bastard must have tracked him to Earth. "Gear up!" Mike yelled as the safe house shook from an explosion. "If it's a fight they want, we'll give them one!" The battle was fierce and chaotic. Nasat blasters against human ballistics, advanced tech against elusive, unpredictable tactics. Tyler fought side by side with Mike's team, his skills complementing their own. Zoran's soldiers had the edge in raw power, but Tyler's leadership allowed the humans to outmaneuver the attackers and escape with only minor injuries. The Nasat commander wouldn't underestimate them again. Regrouping later, they analyzed the Majestic 12 data Rajesh had managed to extract during the firefight. The picture it painted was grim. "Fuck me," Liam breathed. "You're telling me little green men have been running around down here for years, playing games with us?" "Not just the Nasat," Tyler said heavily. "There's something else out there, another faction the files call Enigma, and they've been pulling the strings, pushing our races towards war." "Setting us up so they can knock us down," Mike finished. "Classic divide and conquer." The room fell silent as the enormity sank in. They were just pawns in a much bigger game, one that threatened to consume both their worlds. "So what's our play?" Tex asked finally. "How do we stop these Enigma bastards?" Tyler and Mike shared a look, both arriving at the same conclusion. "We have to bring our people together," Mike said. "Humans and Nasat, fighting side by side. It's the only way." "One problem," Rajesh pointed out. "Our leaders hate each other's guts. They'd shoot first and ask questions never." Tyler straightened, commitment. "Then we'll have to change their minds, won't we? We just need a way to show them the truth. And I think I know where to start." Tyler paced the safe house floor, his alien features twisted with concern. "We need to convince both our peoples of the Enigma threat. It's our only hope." Mike nodded grimly. "I'll reach out to my contacts in the military and government. You try the Nasat Council." Tyler activated a secure comm channel, encryption protocols masking his signal. The stern faces of the Nasat High Council materialized before him. "Counselors, I bring grave news," Tyler began. "An entity known as Enigma threatens both our races. We must set aside our differences and unite." "Preposterous," a counselor interrupted. "You expect us to believe the ravings of a traitor?" Tyler persisted, outlining the evidence they'd uncovered. But skepticism and distrust were etched on every alien face. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving Tyler deflated. Mike's efforts fared no better. He stood before a panel of stern-faced generals and intelligence officials, including representatives from the shadowy Majestic 12. "Gentlemen, the threat is real," Mike insisted. "Enigma has been manipulating both humans and Nasat, pushing us towards conflict." A Majestic 12 official leaned forward. "That's a bold claim, Mr. Donnelly. One we categorically deny. There is no evidence of any Enigma activity." Mike left the meeting frustrated, options dwindling. He found Tyler hunched over a console. "They won't listen," Mike sighed. "Not without proof." Tyler's eyes gleamed. "Then let's get some. I have an idea." Using advanced Nasat cloaking technology, Tyler led the team to infiltrate a hidden Enigma facility. They crept through sterile corridors, staying out of sight of patrolling guards. What they witnessed inside shook them to their core. In one lab, they saw humans strapped to tables, scientists methodically harvesting genetic material. Another chamber held captive Nasat, their alien bodies being dissected and studied. "My God," Liam whispered, face pale. They pushed deeper into the facility. A massive chamber revealed rows of tanks filled with grotesque hybrid creatures, part human, part Nasat, twisted by Enigma's experiments. "They're creating bioweapons," Tyler realized, "using our combined genetics against us." Alarms blared. They'd been detected. "Grab what data you can!" Mike shouted as guards converged on their position. They fought their way out, Tex providing covering fire while Rajesh frantically downloaded files. They barely made it to their extraction point, escaping with a treasure trove of intel. Back at the safe house, they transmitted the data to both human and Nasat leadership. The evidence was irrefutable. Within hours, they received word. Both sides were finally ready to listen. But their victory was short-lived. Enigma tracked the data leak, launching a strike to silence them. As the team raced to evacuate, the safe house exploded around them. They regrouped at a secret bunker, where the president and key military leaders had gathered. Tyler briefed them on the Enigma threat. Tensions high. Suddenly the bunker shook. Enigma forces had found them. "Incoming!" Tex yelled as the first attackers breached the perimeter. What followed was chaos. Human and Nasat defenders fought side by side against waves of Enigma shock troops. Tyler's team was in the thick of it, their diverse skills complementing each other perfectly. Mike dove for cover as plasma bolts sizzled overhead. He saw the president herself grab a fallen soldier's rifle, joining the defense. "Not bad for a civilian," Mike quipped. The president grinned. "I always wanted to see some action." The battle raged for hours, but slowly the defenders gained the upper hand. As the last Enigma troops fell, an eerie silence descended. In the aftermath, human and Nasat leaders stood together, united by shared sacrifice. Plans were already being made to pool resources and create joint military units. But Tyler knew this was only the beginning. As cleanup crews arrived, he gazed at the horizon, sensing the true test was yet to come. The dust had barely settled from the Enigma attack when humanity and the Nasat sprang into action. Within days, a joint military command center codenamed Bulwark was up and running. Tyler Boyd, once known as Tyro, stood at the helm of the massive war room. Holo displays flickered with tactical data as human and Nasat personnel worked side by side. "Status report," Tyler barked. Mike Donnelly stepped forward. "Our intelligence suggests Enigma's main invasion force is still months out, but they've got staging areas throughout the system." Commander Zoran, Tyler's former Nasat rival, nodded in agreement. "We must strike first, before they can consolidate their forces." Tyler studied the star charts, weighing their options. "Agreed. We'll hit their primary base in the Kuiper Belt, codenamed Hive Prime." Over the next weeks, a massive joint fleet assembled. Human battleships overflowing with railguns and missile pods formed up alongside sleek Nasat voidcraft. As they neared Hive Prime, all hell broke loose. Swarms of Enigma drones descended on the fleet, their weapons spewing sickly green biotoxins. "Evasive maneuvers!" Tyler shouted as explosions rocked his command ship. "All units, return fire!" The space around them lit up with plasma bolts and kinetic rounds. A Nasat cruiser to their port erupted in flames. On the main view screen, Mike watched in horror as an Allied destroyer crumpled under concentrated fire. "We're getting slaughtered out here," Mike growled. But then Tex's voice crackled over the comms. "I've got a bead on their command ship. Permission to engage?" "Granted," Tyler replied. A pinpoint beam lanced out from Tex's sniper nest, punching through the enemy vessel's shield and into its bridge. The drones faltered, their coordinated assault falling into disarray. "Now's our chance," Tyler said. "Nasat teleport teams deploy." In flashes of light, squads of Marines materialized inside Hive Prime. They secured a beachhead, but the corridors beyond crawled with Enigma monstrosities, hulking abominations of fused human and Nasat flesh. "Fall back!" a Marine sergeant screamed as razor-tipped tentacles lashed out. Tyler grimaced. They were running out of time. "Nasat interdictors, target their reactor core. Overload it." As Hive Prime's power systems destabilized, Rajesh's voice cut in. "Sir, I've located their central data core, requesting permission to download." "Do it fast," Tyler ordered. "We're leaving in 2 minutes with or without you." The base shuddered around them as Rajesh worked. With seconds to spare, the infiltration team piled into Nasat dropships. They rocketed clear just as Hive Prime detonated in a spectacular fusion explosion. Cheers erupted across the fleet, but their elation was short-lived. As Rajesh sifted through the captured data, his face went ashen. "General, you need to see this," he said, voice barely above a whisper. The holo display shifted, showing the Enigma Armada's true position, already past their defensive line and bearing down on Earth. And that wasn't the worst of it. "My God," Mike breathed, "are those—" Tyler nodded grimly. "Planet crackers. Seismogenic warheads powerful enough to shatter a world." A hush fell over the bridge. They'd won the battle, but the war was nowhere near the end. Earth itself hung in the balance. "All ships, maximum burn for home," Tyler ordered. "We've got a planet to save." As stars streaked past the viewports, Tyler and Mike shared a look. This was it, the moment that would decide the fate of both their peoples. Their newfound alliance would be forged in fire, or broken forever in the crucible to come. The Bulwark fleet limped back to Earth, battered vessels barely holding together. Tyler stood on the bridge of the command ship, eyes sharp as he watched the feeds from the planet's surface. Massive fissures split continents, magma bursting forth in towering plumes. Tsunamis crashed over coastal cities, swallowing millions in their relentless surge. "My God," Mike breathed, his face ashen. "We're too late." Tyler's alien features twisted with anguish. "No, we can still save who's left." He tapped furiously at the console, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is General Tyler Boyd. All surviving ships converge on these coordinates. We're initiating a full-scale evacuation." As rescue efforts began, Tyler huddled with the NASAT scientists, poring over the stolen Enigma data. "Can you do it?" he asked, desperation edging his voice. The lead scientist nodded gravely. "We can reverse engineer their gene-warping tech, splice it into our missiles, but the effects will be catastrophic," Tyler finished. "I know, do it." Hours later, as the last evacuees were loaded onto transports, the Enigma Armada appeared on long-range sensors. Tyler gave the order, and the Bulwark fleet moved to engage. Space erupted in a maelstrom of weapons fire. Human railguns spat hyper-velocity rounds while NASAT plasma lances carved swaths through Enigma's bioships. But for every enemy vessel destroyed, 2 more took its place. Mike led the strike team, his squadron weaving through the chaos. A stray shot clipped his wing, sending him into a spiral. "Shit!" he yelled, wrestling with the controls. Suddenly, Commander Zoran's cruiser appeared alongside. "I've got you covered, human." The NASAT's gravelly voice crackled over the comm. With pinpoint precision, Zoran's guns cleared a path. Mike steadied his craft, heart pounding. "Thanks, ugly," he grinned. Their brief moment of camaraderie shattered as Zoran's ship plowed into an Enigma command nexus in a kamikaze run. The massive explosion rocked Mike's fighter, but opened a gap in the enemy's defenses. "All units, push through," Mike ordered, leading the charge. They punched through into the heart of the Enigma fleet, racing toward the core ships. Twisted gene troopers swarmed their boarding craft. Up close, Mike saw the horror of what Enigma had done. Grotesque fusions of human and NASAT flesh, barely recognizable as once living beings. His team fought viciously, corridor by corridor. Plasma bolts sizzled past Mike's head as he dove for cover. "Tex!" he yelled. "How many missiles left?" The sniper's grim voice came back. "3, sir. Lost the rest when Liam bought it." Mike winced, shoving aside the pain of another loss. They'd come too far to fail now. Across the battlefield, Tyler executed a daring slingshot maneuver, using a planet's gravity to sling his command ship on an impossible vector. They strafed the Enigma core ship, guns blazing. "Rajesh, now!" Tyler bellowed. The tech specialist's fingers flew over his console. "Remote arming sequence initiated." Mike's battered team finally reached the Armada's nerve center. He raised his arm, ready to give the signal to fire their payload. But before he could, the void outside erupted. Massive bubbles of corrupted flesh bloomed across the Enigma fleet. Ships twisted and warped, consumed by their own genetic weapons turned against them. The chain reaction spread with terrifying speed. In minutes, it was over. Where the mighty Enigma armada had stood, only drifting biomass remained. But as the adrenaline faded, the true cost became clear. Earth, already ravaged by Enigma's assault, was now rendered completely uninhabitable by the gene plague. Tyler stared out at the ruined world, his homeworld. Billions dead, a planet lost. He'd saved his people, but at what price? He felt a hand on his shoulder. Mike stood there, his face a mask of grief and gratitude. No words were needed. Together, they turned to face the survivors, human and Nasat alike. The real work was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.